Hey everybody, welcome back to HomeRecordingMadeEasy.com and here on my YouTube channel. And this week we're going to take a look at another plugin review here. This is the new Slate Digital FG2A, their take on an LA-2A compressor. This has been long and waited for. It came out about a week ago. A lot of people are checking it out to see how it sounds. If you're part of the All Access Pass with Slate Digital, this is a free update for you, so I encourage you to check that out. Still, I think the best bang for buck. So we're going to take a look at the FG2A here. We're going to walk through its controls, but then I'm going to do something a little different. We're not only going to look at the sound, listen to the sound of this, but we're also going to compare it to its counterpart, the Universal Audio LA-2A, and then we're also going to compare that to the Waves CLA 2A to hear, are they any different? Are they similar? Did Slate do a good job modeling this particular compressor? I know in the past we've taken a look at the 1176 emulations by Slate, and I got to be honest, those are never my favorites. I feel like the Universal Audio is far better than the FG116 or even the FG116 Modern or even the Vintage. Those are not my favorite 1176 emulations by Slate, but I do like the FG401. So it'll be interesting to see, does the FG2A stack up to all of these? But before we get to that, if this is your first time here, welcome to our family here at Home Recording Made Easy. I want you to go to HomeRecordingMadeEasy.com. I want to give you a free mixing course, absolutely no charge to you. It's right on the homepage. Links will be in the description box below. Get your free mixing course today, and also in the description box there will be a coupon code YouTube25 that will allow you to take 25% off any other training course on my website if you choose to do so. So check all the links in the description box below. So let's get in here into Studio One. So we're going to compare these three. So what I basically did is we're going to listen to this on a bass guitar and on a lead vocal and solo so we can just hear what the compressor is doing to the audio signal. So I'm going to close these two. We're going to take a listen to the bass guitar first. So I'm going to open up this here. So what I basically did is I've basically taken the bass guitar, which is in blue here, and I've duplicated it 3 times and put each one of the plugins on each, and did the same thing for the lead vocals. So let's start with the bass guitar here. Let's open this up and just listen to bass. And we'll walk through the controls here. So this is a simple plugin to use, simple compressor to use, which is great. LA-2A is a tube style compressor. It sounds wonderful and can be used in just about anything, but a lot of folks, including myself, will use this on bass guitar and on lead vocals. What's great about the LA-2A is that you can push it pretty hard and it never really chokes off the signal. It always sounds nice and smooth and pulls the vocal up front and has a nice warm sound to it, even though it can be pressed pretty hard, and that's one of the nice features. So we have a few knobs on this, and what I like about the Slate Digital version is they have a mix knob down here, so you could do some parallel compression. So you can really squash it, and then you can dial back the amount of compression that you want on the track, where you can't do that on either the CLA or on the Universal Audio, because that's not true to the hardware format. So Slate gave us a couple extra controls here, which is great. So you have that here. You have your peak reduction here at the top. You have your gain, your makeup gain, so you can compensate for the volume drop when you over compress. We have a limit and a compress switch here. We have this little set screw here will allow us to do kind of like a high frequency pass here. So if we go all the way clockwise, the compressor won't react to any of the lower frequencies, only the upper frequencies. As we turn the screw clockwise all the way to flat, all the frequencies, the whole frequency spectrum is going to affect the way the compressor reacts. And that's the way we're going to set it. That is the same thing on the CLA-2A, which we'll look at in a minute. And then we also have a stereo link switch here that we can have on and off, which is new for this plugin, not on the original hardware. So let's listen to some bass here. And we're going to compress it pretty heavy here. We're doing about 7 dB to 10 dB of compression. And if we were to bypass it, before, so this is a pretty dynamic bass part, a lot of on the one, a lot of pokey notes here. And this tucks it in really nicely. And again, you don't even really, it doesn't feel like it's compressed. It feels like it's very natural. Let's push it a little harder. Just see what happens. not a whole lot of color to this, meaning that you don't hear a massive tonal shift in this either. If from an EQ perspective, it almost seems like it's a little more transparent. It's doing the compression, but you don't really hear a whole bunch of tonal shift in it. It's very subtle in that way, which I think is great. It's not overly hyped. It sounds very LA-2A-ish, right? And it should, right? It's an LA-2A emulation. Okay, so now we listen to that. Let's take a listen to, and then we'll listen to them back to back. Here's that same compressor. This is the Universal Audio version of it. Now, the Universal Audio collection has 3 different compressors in their thing. They have the gray face, the silver face, and the LA-2, which just have different attack times. I believe this is going to be very similar to the one that Slate modeled. Again, there are 3 different compressors physically, so they're going to sound a little different. But let's compress this about the same way. Let's go back to the beginning here. About 7 to 10 dB of compression. So in this, you hear it feels like that a little bit more, and a little more upper mid frequencies tends to be pulled forward a little bit more in comparison, but they both sound very, very close to each other. They both sound great. Again, we're compressing quite a bit and you don't really feel like it's being compressed. It's not a big bunch of pumping and breathing. It just seems very, very smooth, which is what this compressor is known for. And it doesn't choke off the signal, which is what I really like. Sounds great. Now let's go to the CLA-3A, which is the Chris Lord Algae Waves plugin, and let's see, compress it about the same. A little more compression. Okay, we'll keep the frequency, this little screw here, all the way clockwise to flat. Probably back this off a little bit. Before. Same thing. Very smooth, doesn't sound choked off. And again, we're compressing an awful lot. So let's back off on the compression a little bit here. Maybe 3 to 5 dB. Turn down the makeup gain a little. Okay, same sound characteristics, sounds really great. Let's go ahead now, let's go back to the Universal Audio and let's kind of do a little less compression to see if anything really changes tonally. So we're not going to compress as much. Back off the gain. Okay, I feel like again, I feel like a little bit more of an upper mid push or low, you know, where it seems like a little bit more push around 700 hertz or so. Feels like it pushes up a little bit more with this one. Let's go back to the FGA here and let's take another listen to that. Oops, not here. Here we go. Let's open up the FGA. We'll reduce some of the compression. Turn down the gain. So again, sounds is kind of similar to that CLA. Okay, so now that we have that, let's put them all up on the screen here. And let me see how I can maybe manage this where we can go kind of back to back here. So let me open up this one here, and then we'll open up the CLA-2A. And what we'll do is, because I got it duplicated on 3 tracks here, I'll just solo mute and then mute the others, and then we'll do that. So we're going to start with, we'll go left to right here, right? So we'll go FGA first, Universal Audio second, CLA-2A third, okay? So let's start. Let me move this up here so I can get to the solo buttons, okay? So we're going to start with the FGA, okay? Over here in blue, it's solo. Just keep your eye on the bypass button at the top left-hand corner of each one of the plugins. I'll try to just kind of do this now. All the faders are exactly the same volume. They're all at around a -7 dB. So we're going to go from this one to the Universal Audio over to the Waves. Here we go. And we're compressing about the same amount. Universal Audio. Oops, sorry. CLA. FGA by Slate. Universal Audio. CLA by Waves. Okay, so I think on a bass guitar, this sounds wonderful. So I absolutely can hear here in my cans. Don't know how it sounds over YouTube. The FGA-2A by Slate stacks up beautifully against both of these other compressors, okay? Which, like I said, wasn't the case with the 1176 shootout I did about a year ago. But this sounds great on bass guitar. I wouldn't hesitate to use this before I would pull one of these other ones that I would typically use more times than not. I really think this is a great emulation. Sounds great on bass. Let's do the same thing on the lead vocal, where maybe we could hear some of the nuances a little bit better. So let's start with the lead vocal. So on the lead vocals, let me just change the loop here a little bit. Okay, so again, the same thing. We have 3 lead vocal tracks. The first one is going to have the FGA by Slate. The second one is going to be Universal Audio. And the third one is going to be the CLA-2A. Let's start with the Slate one first, and let's just dial in. I think I got it pushed pretty hard here. Let's see how hard we have it pushed.
The season's ripe for change. It's changing all around. I know the reasons you've arranged. They're tearing me down. Where is the peacefulness of mine?
So you can see on all 3 of the compressors, even though we're soloing up the FGA by Slate, they're all compressing about the same amount. I mean, they may not be absolutely perfect, but for this test, good enough. So let's just go, we're doing about 7 to 10 dB of compression when this thing gets a little bit too dynamic. So let's go back and let's just turn the FGA on and off.
It's changing all around. I know the reasons you've arranged. They're tearing me down. Where is the peacefulness of mine? Where will my heart come back to life? I'm alright as I pick up the pieces that are left of me. I'm alright. being away from you.
Okay, you can really hear it here on the vocal. It's a lot easier to hear how the EQ kind of shifts. This opens up the vocal really nicely on the beginning of every phrase. I'm all right. It's pretty pokey. This does a wonderful job squeezing it, but it doesn't sound like it's compressed. It sounds really natural with that much compression, about 10 dB. This sounds great. Slate did a wonderful job on this. Let's listen to that same passage with the Universal Audio version of this plugin, and let's see how that sounds, turning it on and off.
Up for change, it's changing all around. I know the reasons you've arranged. They're tearing me down. Where is the peacefulness of mine? Where will my heart come back to life? I'm alright as I pick up the pieces that are left of me. I'm alright being away from you.
Again, very similar. Sounds just as good, equal on par. Sounds great. Okay, let's go to the the CLA 3A here by Waves. Let's listen to that one.
I know the season's ripe for change. It's changing all around. I know the reasons you've arranged. They're tearing me down. Where is the peacefulness of mine? Where will my heart come back to life? I'm alright as I pick up the pieces that are left of me. I'm alright being away from you. And I'll be fine cleaning out the corner, putting back in order. But know I will always have this too, a little piece of you.
Okay, so same sound characteristic. It gets a little bit more breathy with the compressor engaged. Obviously, it's bringing up some of those, the beginning of those phrases. It's a little bit more breathy. Again, it really does a wonderful job of squeezing that transient on the front end of each one of those phrases, and it doesn't sound like it's squashed. You don't hear breathing and pumping. It sounds very natural, just like on the bass. A little bit more obvious, though, and you can hear that it gets a little bit more clarity on this particular, on the lead vocal as compared to more of the bass. So now, once again, I'll try to just cycle through, I'll just try to solo, and I'll try to tell you which ones we'll start on try to do this between the phrases. So we'll start with the Slate FG 2A, over to Universal Audio, over to the CLA 3A, and let's see if there's any real difference.
I know the season's ripe for change. It's changing all around. I know the reasons you've arranged. They're tearing me down. Where is the peacefulness of mine?
Universal Audio.
Where will my heart come back to life? I'm alright as I pick up the pieces that are left of me. I'm alright being away from you.
Waves.
And I'll be fine cleaning out the corner, putting back in order. But know I will always have this too, a little piece of you.
Okay, so again, they're so close. And again, they're going to be a little different because there's 3 different models, 3 different physical units were emulated here. So yeah, you're going to have a little bit of a difference. But the point of this video was, how does this one stack up by Slate to 2 of the most popular competitors, at least in my plugin collection? And I think it stacks up very, very well. Much different and much better, in my opinion, than when we took a look at the 1176 models in the past. I didn't think the Slate stacked up nearly as good to Universal Audio, but this one really, really does. This is a great plugin. And again, if you have the All Access Pass with Slate, this is free, like every plugin, and I think this was long awaited, and this is a really, really great version of this. I guess they're going to be another version of the LA-2A or the LA-2 or a different version of it coming out very, very soon. I guess it's going to be just a little bit of a twist on this as well, which I think will be cool. It'll probably be a different flavor than this. So again, I still think Slate Digital, bang for buck, when you talk about these analog style plugins and you look at their all access pass and their monthly or yearly subscription, I think the Slate stuff is the best bang for the buck. And I tell my students that all the time. They don't make any bad quote unquote plugins. Even their 1176s that I'm not a huge fan of are still decent plugins, but I would use a competitors before I would use that. But I use Slate in all of my mixes. I use a variety of their plugins. I love the stuff that Slate Digital does. Slate does an awesome job modeling stuff. And this is another great example of that. So I hope you found this video information helpful to you. Again, comparing it to 2 other plugins. I haven't seen too many people do that, so I wanted to share that with you. This is a great plugin. If you have the Slate stuff, check it out. I think you'll like it. I'll be using this on mixes coming up. Now, once again, I'd like to hear from you. Let me know, do you have the Slate digital stuff? What do you think of this particular LA-2A as compared to other ones? I'd like to know. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think about the Slate products overall. I think they're wonderful. I'd like to know and hear from you. And once again, head out to homerecordingmadeeasy.com. If you haven't done so already, get your free mixing course right on the website. And don't forget about the coupon code YouTube25. Get 25% off any one of my training courses. All the links will be in the description box below. And until next plugin review, I've been Dave with homerecordingmadeeasy.com and mixingmadeeasy.net. And I'll see you guys really soon. Take care, everybody.